This was never only about controlling information from the general population. It was also about controlling who had access to deeper knowledge. Certain groups, cultures, and lineages were deliberately excluded because there was fear that this knowledge, once remembered, could awaken something powerful. History shows repeated efforts to restrict learning to sanctioned institutions, while criminalizing independent thought through accusations like heresy or blasphemy. These charges were not about morality. They were tools used to silence ideas that had existed for thousands of years. What we call ancient wisdom did not suddenly disappear. It was pushed underground. Teachings about the relationship between the cosmos and the human being, between the macrocosm and the microcosm, were once openly studied. Over time, those teachings were reframed as dangerous or forbidden, while fragments of the same knowledge were preserved quietly within select circles. Many ancient traditions shared a common premise, that human beings are not accidents in an indifferent universe, but participants in a larger process of growth. In Egyptian philosophy, this was described as a path toward immortality, not physical immortality, but the cultivation of higher awareness. Other cultures named this process differently: nirvana, enlightenment, liberation, but the principle was the same. To become awakened, the ancients believed, one had to recognize the cosmic aspect of human nature, the idea that something within us is not bound to Earth alone, but resonates with the greater universe. This was not mystical fantasy to them. It was a disciplined study of consciousness, astronomy, mathematics, and the body. Scholars such as John Anthony West have pointed out that much of what later civilizations claimed as discovery was inherited from earlier cultures, particularly Egypt. The difference was not intelligence, but secrecy. Some civilizations preserved knowledge quietly, while others spoke loudly and left clearer records. What survived across millennia is not coincidence. Wisdom that lasts thousands of years does so because it works, because it aligns with human experience. The tragedy is not that this knowledge vanished, but that it was removed from common education and replaced with systems that discouraged inquiry. And yet, the thread remains. The work has always been the same: to remember, to question, and to grow toward a level of awareness we are capable of, but not automatically born into.
The cave walls shimmered faintly, like stone remembering light. Hoodie sat cross-legged now, hoodie pulled tighter around his shoulders. The air felt heavier, not threatening, just serious. This was the kind of quiet that asked for honesty. He looked up at the rotating geometry of the Merkaba dragon.
I keep hearing people say that the Greeks were the source of all this knowledge, that astrology, philosophy, mathematics, the understanding of the sky and the self, all came from them. But when I look closer, it feels like something doesn't add up. Why does it seem like none of this knowledge exists with them before Kemet fell? Why does it only appear after they entered Egypt, studied there, and then left, claiming it as their own? Am I wrong for thinking something was taken, not just copied, but misunderstood?
You are not wrong, little one. You are observant. Knowledge does not appear from nowhere. It has roots. Before Kemet, there is silence in Greek record. No advanced cosmology, no deep astrology, no sacred mathematics woven into daily life. Then Kemet falls, and suddenly names appear: Ptolemy, Claudius, philosophers, astronomers. They speak the same truths the Egyptians lived, but they speak them as ideas, not as ways of being. The Egyptians did not study the sky, they moved with it. The Greeks recorded, the Egyptians resonated.
So that's the difference, isn't it? The Egyptians felt the knowledge. They were in sync with nature, with the body, with the stars. But the Greeks needed to explain it, write it down, prove it. Is that why modern thinking feels so disconnected? Like everything has to make sense on paper before it's allowed to be real?
Yes, The Egyptian path was embodied. The Greek path was conceptual. Feeling became thinking, experience became theory, harmony became explanation. When knowledge is only written, it survives, but it weakens. The Greeks believed they could inherit wisdom by conquering land. They did not understand that true knowledge requires alignment, not ownership. That is why Egyptologists struggle, because the knowledge was not mechanical. It was spiritual intelligence. You cannot excavate resonance with tools.
Then what about astrology? They say the zodiac belongs to the Greeks, to Ptolemy, to later systems. But I've seen symbols older than Greece, etched along the Nile, deep into Africa. If the pyramids were already there when the Greeks arrived, then how could the system belong to them?
The zodiac did not belong to the Greeks. They catalogued it. The Egyptians lived it. Long before Greece, the Nile was a mirror of the sky. Temples aligned with stars, bodies aligned with planets. Mythology encoded astronomy. Astronomy encoded consciousness. When the Greeks entered Kemet, they studied, they learned from the Egyptians, and then they reframed. What was once felt became formalized. What was once sacred became academic. This is why their systems survived, but without the power to awaken.
So the journey isn't about choosing sides, Egyptian or Greek, but about remembering how knowledge is supposed to live inside us. And maybe that's why I feel like I'm being called not to read more, but to prepare myself before I ever reach the pyramids.
No, little one, you do pick a side, the side of your ancestor, because the knowledge is locked away within the subconscious mind, and you are them, in they are you. Man, know thyself. The pyramids do not teach, they respond. They amplify what you bring with you. If you arrive only with intellect, you will leave with facts. If you arrive with alignment, you will leave changed. This is why your journey begins here, in listening, in feeling, in remembering. The road to Giza is not measured in miles, it is measured in frequency.
The light folded inward, the cave breathed again, and Hoodie understood. The pyramids were waiting, but only for those who could hear them.
I'm trying to understand something, and it's really messing with my head. When I look at ancient Egypt, it feels like they didn't slowly learn anything. It's like they showed up already knowing science, math, medicine, the stars. How can a civilization just start like that, without a learning phase?
Ah, now you are asking the right question, little one. Because what you are noticing is the crack in the story you were taught. Egypt did not develop knowledge the way modern civilizations do. They remembered it. Man, know thyself. From the very beginning, their science was refined, their medicine was precise, their mathematics were exact, their astronomy was aligned with cosmic cycles. There is no visible childhood phase of Egyptian civilization, no clumsy experiments, no crude early attempts. They emerged fully formed. That is not evolution. That is inheritance.
So you're saying they didn't figure it out step by step like we do now? They didn't slowly build toward greatness? Because when I look at other civilizations, you can see progress. But Egypt feels like it started at the finish line.
Exactly, little one. Every other civilization shows growth over time. Egypt does not. The earliest dynasties achieved things that were never surpassed, even thousands of years later. That fact alone terrifies historians because it breaks the rules of the modern story. Their science, art, architecture, and spirituality were not separate subjects. They were one unified system, each reinforcing the other. That is why Egypt looks impossible through modern eyes. Modern thinking separates knowledge. Egyptian knowing unified it.
But how could they have that kind of understanding without someone teaching them first? Where did it come from? Why does it feel like the knowledge was already inside them?
Because it was. Egypt was not discovering universal laws, they were living in alignment with them. Their ancestors passed the knowledge forward not through books alone, but through memory, ritual, alignment, and consciousness. When Egyptians spoke of honoring the ancestors, they were not worshipping the dead. They were honoring the continuity of wisdom. They understood something modern humanity has forgotten. Knowledge does not only move forward in time, it also returns.
So when people say Egypt was primitive, that doesn't make sense at all. Because nothing about this feels primitive. It feels intentional.
Primitive is the lie used to erase inheritance. Egyptian civilization did not rise from ignorance, it rose from remembrance. And that is why so much of it had to be destroyed, why libraries burned, why lineages were broken, why memory itself became dangerous. Because a people who remember who they are cannot be ruled.
Does that mean the pyramids weren't just buildings? Does that mean they were part of this remembered knowledge too?
You are walking toward the truth now, little one. The pyramids were not monuments, they were instruments. But that lesson waits for you when you finally reach them. And you will.
Hoodie stood still. Hoodie pulled tight around his shoulders, staring at the horizon where the land seemed to hum instead of rest. He didn't know why his chest felt heavy, only that something here was calling him.
Little one, you feel it because this land does not sleep. It remembers. That question is the crack in the illusion. Most civilizations grow like children, crawling, stumbling, learning. But Kemet did not crawl. It stood upright the moment it appeared. Science, architecture, astronomy, medicine, all present at the beginning. No infancy, no trial and error, no primitive stage. Kemet was not the birth of knowledge, it was the recovery of knowledge, a civilization rebuilding what had fallen before.
Why did Kemet fall? How could a people so powerful fall? And why does history act like it all came from Greeks?
Because when Kemet fell, others entered the house after the fire and claimed they built it. The Greeks were very spiritually immature, they were too material-driven. The Greeks couldn't grab the concept of true spirituality. The Egyptian were too noble, and rightfully so. They couldn't fathom in their wildest dream. The Greek would double-cross them after all they had gave, and that was the price they paid for their humility. The Ptolemies did not discover astrology, they learned it. Claudius Ptolemy did not create celestial law. He inherited fragments and gave them Greek names.
Then, why didn't the Egyptians stop them?
Because knowledge is not protected by walls, it is protected by consciousness. The Egyptians lived the knowledge. They didn't need to explain it. The Greeks needed to dissect it, label it, make it make sense on paper, because they could not feel it.
So when people say Egypt had no development phase, that's because
the development happened before recorded history.
Then why was all of this erased?
Because memory is dangerous to those who rule through forgetting. That is why they bombard the melanated being with trends, distraction, lust, whenever they can. Do you keep you all from understanding the ancient hidden wisdom? They will, and they have done so. Successfully. When your ancestors could die and be reborn with the knowledge already inside them, control was impossible. So transmission had to be broken.
Slavery.
Slavery was not only chains on bodies, it was chains on inheritance. Languages erased, cosmology replaced, fear installed where memory once lived. The Inquisition silenced Europe, slavery silenced you.
So, they didn't just take land, they took the ability to remember.
And yet, you are here. That knowledge was never destroyed, only buried. waiting for the right frequency to awaken it.
So this journey, it's not about learning something new.
No, little one. It is about remembering who you were before they taught you who to be.
So, I've been thinking about what you said. About us rebuilding. About civilizations rising again after something fell. But if that's true, and why were we stopped? Why does it feel like every time we start to remember, something shuts us down?
Because, little one, memory without unity is vulnerable.
So, we weren't united.
When your ancestors moved south into deeper Africa, they were rebuilding. Kingdoms, empires, systems of knowledge. But they were no longer moving as one body, one rhythm. And those Europeans who feared remembrance noticed.
So they came together and stopped us.
Yes, not because you were weak, but because you were powerful out of sync. They destroyed civilizations, they erased history, they enslaved bodies to interrupt memory. And then they built systems, governments, religions, economies, designed to keep you disconnected from the sky, the planets, the rhythms that once guided you.
The zodiac, the planets, the old knowledge.
Exactly. Because reconnection would mean remembrance, and remembrance would mean return.
But what made us so dangerous to them in the first place?
You already know the answer. You just haven't said it yet.
Melanin.
Melanin is not just color. It is conductivity, memory, interface.
So it's not just in the skin.
No, little one. It is everywhere. Melanin exists in the pineal gland, the inner ear, the heart, the organs. Darker bodies produce more internal melanin, not as decoration, but as function.
So that's why they studied it, why they experimented, why they interfered.
Yes, because melanin interacts with light, sound, and frequency. It converts energy. It protects cells. It tolerates low oxygen. It responds to vibration. Plants use chlorophyll to transform sunlight into energy. You use melanin.
So when they disrupted our food, our water, our air, our music, they were attacking the interface.
Precisely. They could not remove it completely, so they tried to suppress its expression through fear, stress, noise, disconnection.
But if it's still inside us,
Then it can still be activated.
so reconnecting to the planets, to the body, to sound and frequency,
Is not learning something new. It is restoring a function.
so the reason they did all this wasn't hatred.
No, it was hatred, greed, and evil. The European can only operate it from the reptilian brain. And the reason you feel this pulling you forward.
Is because it's time to remember.
Walk carefully, little one. Memory returns fastest when guided by balance.
And somewhere beneath the sand, something ancient stirred. The fire between them crackled low. Hoodie stared into it, eyes heavy with realization.
Merkaba. It feels like they know something about us that we don't. Not just history, something deeper. Something about how we're connected to the planets, to sound, to everything.
You're beginning to see it, little one. Everything that goes on here on this planet is about controlling the consciousness of the melanated being. Through the study of astrology, because the melanated being is connected to the stars and to the divine. As above, so below. The connection you feel is real. It is the harmony of the spheres, frequency, vibration, sound, moving through space and through you.
So when people talk about the universe being music, but also being within you, that's not just poetic talk. That's literal.
More than you could ever imagine, little one. It is literal. There is a macrocosm, the planets, stars, and cosmic rhythms. And there is a microcosm, your body, your organs, your mind. They mirror one another. When those rhythms are aligned, creation flows. When they are distorted, reality fractures.
Then, is that why music feels so powerful? Why it shapes how we think, how we move, how we live?
Yes, music is not entertainment alone. It is instruction. It tunes the collective instrument. Those and temporary power. I say temporary because their time is coming to an end. They understood this long before they engineered this whole hip-hop culture.
Then why does every hood feel the same, no matter where you go? Philly, Detroit, Cali, Texas, different accents, same pain, same cycles.
Exactly, that's programming. Because unity was broken, but the signal was kept intact.
What do you mean?
Long ago, your ancestors were united. One people, one language, one rhythm. And because they were one, nothing they imagined was beyond them. So they were scattered. Languages changed, cultures fractured, memory diluted.
But if we're scattered, how is the same energy still being used? Wait. They even told us this in Bible scriptures.
Yes. Read it out loud, little one.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. 2. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. 3. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And we will make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
So connect the dots, Hoodie, as I taught you. Universal law, the truth must be reviled. The Bible is a very esoteric book. Esoteric mean the hidden. One people, one language, one rhythm. And because they were one, nothing they imagined was beyond them. That's not God telling them to go scattered, languages changed, cultures fractured, memory diluted. That's mankind fulfilling his prophecy.
So the problem isn't just spirituality.
No, the problem is separation. True power was never spirit alone or matter alone. It was harmony, inner and outer, sky and body, sound and structure.
And that's what they didn't want us to remember.
Because once you remember, you no longer generate their degenerated reality unconsciously.
So the work now isn't fighting them.
It is retuning yourself. When enough remember their rhythm, the melody changes.
Then teach me how to hear it again.
That is the next lesson.